Well, Pacelli and Boomer, they're grizzled and gray, talking about Star Wars from back in the day. Got a talk show called Geeky, and it's true, spinning old tales about the stuff they went through. From Atari to Trek, they know every line. Geeky has been feeling just fine. Savvy's got a lightsaber, swings it with pride. Boomer's got a game but plays it deep in the night. They're ranting about He-Man and old X-Men too. On Geeky Geezers, they're the nerdiest crew. Talking Transformers toys that twist and they turn. Singing blues for the geek life, their hearts still burn. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream. Talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're sitting in the studio, mics turned up loud, reminiscing about Super Friends, feeling so proud. Pacelli loves Spider-Man, Boomer's for Hulk. They argue about Star Trek with passion and both. From Betamax tapes to their old D20s, Geeky Geezers where the nostalgia flows. They got fans in the chat, from the young to the old, tuning in to hear stories that never get told. Talking Ghostbusters, proton packs, toys in the box, and Saturday mornings with cartoons that rocks. Pacelli and Boomer, they're keeping it real. Geeky Geezers with that old school feel. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream. Talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're singing the blues for the games that they play, for the VHS tapes and the arcades that pray. But the spirits are young, though their hair's turning white. Geeky Geezers keep the nerd fire alight, so tune in each week to the Geeky Geezer show, where Pacelli and Boomer let the good times flow. From X-Files to X-Men, they're dropping the news, singing praises of geek life with them old blues. Pacelli and Boomer, forever they'll be. Geeky Geezers living wild and free.
I'm singing the blues of $70 games.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course, there's our $180 game out there.
Well,
that I heard is not worth the $80. Oh, Geek Flag. Okay, well, actually, I should start saying, hi, everybody. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, Pacelli.
Hello.
And this is my other co-host, the Geezette, Netter of Netters Network. Welcome.
Good evening.
You know, that song starts out talking about being grizzled and gray. If I didn't have a beard, you wouldn't even know I was gray. I'm just lucky to have hair.
You know, I have to say, too, yeah, funny. I have to say, too, I know I feels like we've added Netter, but Netter's been here way
Yeah, she's been here all along, yeah.
Added her anyway. So
right.
We thought we might as well have her in the chat. But chat is now open to everyone. Thank you, Troy Pacelli.
Yes.
Be mindful of what you say to each other. We all want to be civilized here, right? But we all usually are. So, well, until we talk about certain trailers tonight, then we won't.
Well, yeah.
Orville Nation, welcome. Always good to see you.
Yay.
And look at all these little symbols here. Cool. Big Al, welcome. Hello, my fellow geezers. Have a great show. Have a wonderful week all. I will be joining Big Al in the new year. Right after the new year, we will be doing another couple episodes of Robin of Sherwood, so that'll be exciting. Nice. Netter of Netters Network, welcome. I get a hi, sweetie, from her. Thank you. JPRPH1, welcome. And let me see. Last call, Connie Cleary, Hell Chat, welcome. Unscripted raid from deleted scenes. He was having a pretty good talk tonight. I saw you in the chat.
I was, yeah. I've got some thoughts, and I actually will probably get to some of those thoughts tonight because some of the topics that were covered there, we're going to be touching on too.
You just got to reverse the polarities.
Yes.
Is that from Doctor Who?
Well, I don't know if it comes from anywhere besides there, but yes, it absolutely does. But this was the third Doctor, and the line was reverse the polarity of the neutron flow, which of course seems scientifically oxymoronic because a neutron flow should not have a reversible polarity. Whatever.
I'm now hearing Neil deGrasse Tyson say
Yeah.
that. What was I going to say though? We have what was it though? I know on Star Trek was always about tachyons. That would drive my dad nuts. After a while, like Geordi would just keep saying, "Oh, tachyon this and tachyon this," and says they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, and it is a bit of technobabble that they needed specifically whenever they were. As soon as you mention tachyons, you assume there's some sort of temporal thing going on.
Yes.
Tachyons being these theoretical faster than light particles, which might result from, as an indication of some sort of time traveler, time instability. But yeah, if you overuse something like that, it does start to lose all meaning.
It was interesting how TNG went on. A lot of episodes ended up being these mysteries that you had to solve, but they were scientific mysteries, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
sort of I mean, not every episode, obviously, but a lot of them were like that. How do we solve this problem?
Especially when they were trying to do, sometimes they had to do episodes that took place on the ship, so they didn't have to go and spend the money on doing a the away mission, the out in the field type shots that cost more money because you gotta go out into the field.
Television still operates that way. Remember on Breaking Bad, they had to do an entire episode with them in the meth van, basically, and because it makes up for the fact that other episodes are more expensive. So some shows would do that. You'd have the episode that was stuck basically in one location where they're all stuck. That way, you free up money for episodes that cost more money.
Right? Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Like I think the X-Files would do stuff like that, where they were stuck at a location.
Speaking of the X-Files, I just watched. Netter and I watched an episode of the X-Files today. Yes,
which one?
Saw a video that someone did counting down some of his favorite TV Christmas episodes, and it was a Christmas episode of the X-Files that featured
Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin and oh gosh,
was it Ed Asner? No.
Ed Asner, thank you.
It was Ed Asner. Yeah, they were stuck in the haunted house because X-Files never really did Christmas episodes, but then they did that one, yes, where they were stuck in the haunted house. Yes, I remember.
And I couldn't help but think that this was, boom, this was that traditional, scary ghost stories of Christmases long, long ago.
Exactly. It was a good episode, I thought. That was from season 6.
Yes, it was.
I have some issues with season 6 because I felt that's really when the show starts to slip. But that was a good episode.
The nice thing about watching an episode like this is you can watch it out of context. It doesn't matter to the rest of the season.
Exactly. And to be fair, a lot of X-Files episodes could be like that. Like they would have like standalone episodes, and then they would have episodes that sort of expanded on the overall mythology, which would sometimes contradict itself later on, but
yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Geek flag civility is what separates us from the animals. Yes, I suppose so. Especially when your dog is.
So you're saying that
inside. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're so basically what you're saying is the vast majority of humans are no better than animals. I can agree with that.
Well, we have manners.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to teach your kids.
Yeah,
stop
but
wearing pajamas to restaurants. That'd be nice. I'm sorry, I didn't say that out loud.
There's a whole generation that was not taught what manners are, or this whole idea that what you consider to be manners are a social construct that I don't have to consider. Blah 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 blah.
I keep seeing people wearing at least or like pajama bottoms or like these tight sweats, and I'm like, this is not something you wear when you're going to certain locations. Like you could do that if you're working out or something, maybe, but or at home chilling out. There's certain standards. What happened to jeans? I thought jeans were the lazy thing.
Like pajama bottoms, mostly pajama bottoms to school.
Yeah, and it's basically because there's this level of laziness and a lack of dignity. Nobody cares, what anyone else thinks about them. So I can wear whatever I want. Yeah, well, you can. That doesn't mean you should. Just because you can do a thing, it doesn't follow that you should be doing it.
it sort of contradicts though, because it goes back to the Bible with Genesis when they realized they were naked and they were covering themselves. You understand? And it's like
Right.
Adam and Eve knew better. I
Oh,
mean,
dude, for crying out loud. I see these pride parades and I think,
uh,
how Moses must have reacted when he came down off of Mount Sinai, you know?
yeah, well, yeah, I remember that scene from the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
With that was a scary scene. Poor Deborah Paget, I think, was tied to the golden calf too.
Right.
Deborah Paget kept getting messed with in that movie.
Yep.
I think TNG used neutrons way more than tachyons. Well, I know.
True.
Maybe it's the fact that tachyons just stood out. Yusarn G, welcome. Wallace Lang G. My favorite Doctor Who was Tom Baker. He's many people's favorite.
True.
You can't go wrong with Tom Baker. I'll say this: even average Tom Baker episodes are still worth watching. I mean, it's
Yep.
I have to get back into my Doctor Who watching. I got kind of stuck during Pertwee, but I was going to get through Pertwee and then I'd be able to nestle into Tom Baker for a while and figure out what I've missed. But I'm writing a Christmas ghost story right now. That's great, Samuel Proctor. There's actually, if you're ever interested too, there's a if you want to look at some old Christmas ghost stories, the people that make those big books, I think they have a big book of Christmas ghost stories
Interesting.
that's chock full of these stories. But maybe they even make new volumes of that you can submit your thing to. Season 6 was when they moved from Los Angeles. Yeah, I know, for X Files when they moved to Los Angeles, so Duchovny could be with his new wife Taya Leone. That was the big thing with that. They got
Well,
divorced.
remembering what Taya Leone looked like, I kind of can't blame him. So,
Yeah. He had some nice looking girlfriends, David Duchovny, back in the day. I'm just going to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
it was John Wick reference. At least that is how it took on the civility separates us from the animals. That especially that first John Wick movie, great. I mean, to be
Oh,
fair,
yeah.
I've liked all four. I know some people felt it lost steam later on, but I've enjoyed them all. Every time I go to an Italian restaurant, I feel like I should suit similar to the movie The Untouchables. Oh, like wear a suit?
Yep. Absolutely. I actually, there's a picture of me. I talked about my friend Otto, who introduced me to Doctor Who and Sherlock Holmes. My buddy Chad, who I actually hope to have on the show one day to talk about his vampire book. And my buddy Dale, who was the body double for the taller of the two criminals in Home Alone.
Oh yeah,
We all
Daniel
went to an
Stern. Yeah.
Italian. Yeah, we all
Double
went
for
to an
Daniel.
Italian restaurant in Cicero here in Illinois,
Oh,
and
wow.
we got a picture of us sitting all on one side of the table, and we called it our Untouchables picture because it looked like that
That
famous
scene from the
photograph, yeah, from the Untouchables, yeah.
Al Capone and them. I read up on them in middle school. I thought that was interesting. That whole
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing that was going on with prohibition. I wonder, all that could have been avoided if they hadn't gone with prohibition. I think that's what gave rise to a lot of this stuff.
And this is another one of those examples of when you refuse to learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. I see that happening right now with many. I see talk from the current administration to get rid of the what do they call it, the marijuana laws. And I'm like, yeah, I hear many people making the argument. How is that any different than prohibition and alcohol? How is
Right.
marijuana any different? And I'm like, yeah, I can't really argue that with you. You're kind of right,
Just don't come to your local public library inebriated, please. Of course, I've had it happen with alcohol.
I am not surprised.
And when you're inebriated, also remember that there are public restrooms you can use and you don't have to go anywhere else. But anyway, less said about that, the better. I have to be careful what I say on stream. Anyway, I have a photograph of the real life Elliot Ness. There's a fascinating story with him. Toward the end of his career, he was going after a serial killer that he couldn't catch, and it drove him to ruin. It was really sad, actually. But
It literally
yeah,
drove him to drink,
yeah,
ironically.
it's really depressing. And it's funny. I was recently watching clips from that movie Zodiac, the great movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal. Really good movie about the kind of the frenzy that all caused back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about depressing things like the Zodiac Killer. We're here to talk about the good old days, correct?
Yes, we are.
So let's go
Yes,
ahead and
we
bring
absolutely
the
are.
thing up.
Oh, yeah. I guess you want me to bring up the presentation.
Okay.
Is what you're saying. Sorry.
And so we like to talk about the good old days, and we're going to talk about this.
1984, wonderful year. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let me set the stage for you.
Thank you.
Supergirl was look. There's different ways to address the Supergirl history in the comics. But when push comes to shove, all of these characters that are spin-off characters, the female version of Batman, the female version of Superman. They did this mostly for rights reasons, so that some other company couldn't come along, and that's where first it was Batwoman, and then eventually Batgirl, that they came up with, specifically so that another company couldn't start to capitalize on them. They did the same thing with Supergirl. And Supergirl has been around since the Silver Age. She's got a very, very long history in the comics. And right around the 1980s, DC was going through a little bit of a, it was leading up to a major reboot, okay? The big Crisis on Infinite Earths. But we haven't gotten there yet. That's in the future.
Yes.
Still. But there was many characters that were going through like not soft reboots. Yeah, you almost have to say there was. Because as you went from the Silver Age into the Bronze Age, there was... And I'm seeing a lot of the same things happening in comics right now. There was this nostalgia for some stories of the Gold and Silver Age, but there was also a desire for a more sophisticated form of storytelling, where there was better development of characters, less episodic, more, growth of characters over time. And Supergirl was one of those. She was very much used almost sometimes for comedy. She was written as a very, very young, naive character. And without a lot of dimension. Now, in fairness, Superman was kind of written the same way. Come at me if you disagree with me, but if you look at the Silver Age Superman, a lot of those stories were pretty simplistic.
Right.
And I don't want it to sound like the modern writing for modern audiences or for older audiences or grimdark or any of that kind of stuff. Just there was starting to be this idea that you could write good stories that children could enjoy that wouldn't turn off older readers as well. And we've seen that so often. Let's face it, probably one of the best storytellers and creators of content for children was Fred Rogers, and he always said, never talk down to children. They are capable of far more sophisticated understanding than you realize.
I feel like these days people talk down to adults.
Yes, yes, I was just thinking that too. You're right.
Especially certain people that shouldn't be doing it. I'll explain later.
So there was this period where Supergirl was getting her own. She had previously had her own title, Supergirl, but it wasn't really hers. It was an offshoot of a previously existing title called Superman Family, and it just kind of became her title. And like DC Comics Presents and some of the other titles at the time, it was oftentimes several stories, and they weren't all Supergirl stories. Sometimes there were Batgirl stories in there too, and some other stories of other characters that they just kind of stuck in there. And then they started something called The Daring New Adventures of Supergirl. Starting at issue 1, they gave her own title and kind of started over fresh. The original Silver Age Supergirl had lived in so Clark lived in Smallville. She lived in Midvale, And you know, there's all the debate about where is Smallville, where is Midvale, as opposed to where Metropolis is. And this movie that I promise we're gonna get here, does show a map, and it shows a map of Illinois, and it shows Midvale being in the middle of the state, Metropolis being in the south. Chicago is, of course, where Chicago is, right? Because she moves from Midvale to Chicago to attend a fictional university called Lakeshore University. A lot of us in Chicago that were fans of comics would debate, was that supposed to be like Loyola? Could have been Loyola, could have been UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago. But whatever, she was going to university here in Chicago. And they were playing around with what she was going to be doing. She had a history in her previous title where she was doing some acting. She was in a soap opera called Secret Hearts. And it was, they had these great little stories where there were, because they played around with romances for her and stuff like that.
Sure.
There was some references to that in these daring new adventures. But what was really interesting about it is they started writing her as a real standalone character. Yes, there were references to Superman. Certainly some of Superman's, rogues gallery and so forth. But they were starting to create new characters, a new rogues gallery specifically for Supergirl. And it was really a great time. And they created a villain that unfortunately only had a very short arc, and it was implied that this character had something to do with the destruction of Argo City, which was where she was from.
Right.
A city from Metropolis that for a short period of time survived the destruction.
You mean Krypton? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Why? What did I say?
Is that Metropolis?
Oh yeah, no, I meant
it's okay.
Yeah, I meant Krypton. Yeah, Argo was, I believe, originally the capital of Krypton.
It's one of the major cities, from what I remember. Yeah.
No, I take that back. I'm confusing it with what was the city that got shrunk down? Kandor. Kandor was the original capital when it was taken by Brainiac.
Yes.
Was it Kryptonopolis, I think, became the capital or something like that. I don't know. But Argo City was a major city, and unlike Jor-El, who sent his only begotten son to Earth to be one of the only survivors of Krypton, his younger brother, Zor-El, built a dome over Argo City, and the entire city survived the destruction of Krypton. And the implication, it's implied that the original origin was that the dome was destroyed by an asteroid storm that tore up the lead lining of the ground.
That'll do it.
Exposing everyone to kryptonite. So that's when Zor-El, sent his daughter to Earth, said, seek out your cousin, and sorry, we can't join you. Bye, and died.
Yes.
But the daring new adventures of Supergirl introduced another alien character who supposedly attacked the city and destroyed the dome, and that's why this asteroid field was able to. Anyway.
Okay.
I'm getting kind of off topic.
You are.
We get to. Well, it was.
Okay.
I needed to set this up because
you were versed in this before this came out.
I very much was. And then Supergirl had been, especially after the success of the first Superman movie, the Sulkides were saying, let's keep going. Let's make some more movies. Let's do a Supergirl movie. And unfortunately, there was they went a little cheap on this. They
not as cheap as Superman 4.
not as cheap as Superman 4, but this was also, wasn't this also a canon picture?
I don't know. I was watching it a bit before the stream. It's on HBO Max right now. If any of you are subscribed to that, plus you might have the DVD. I don't know who put this out. This might have still been Warner Brothers proper. I don't know. Actually, that's a good question. Anyone in the chat knows, let us know. I remember this came out. I think I caught this on cable. I don't think I saw it in the theaters. I don't know if you saw it in the theaters. Did you see it in theaters?
I absolutely did. Yeah,
Yes.
I was a huge Supergirl fan. This is why I know it so well. I was collecting all those Daring New Adventures of Supergirl. By the way, after this movie, they changed the name from the Daring New Adventures of Supergirl to just Supergirl, continuing the same numbering system.
That's fine, I guess.
So this movie, of course, just like, and they did try to
There's
follow
some good
this.
stuff in here. I feel like the guts are there. We just need a body.
Yeah.
You know, if that
Well,
makes
they're
any
following.
sense, you know, I mean, yeah.
They're doing what so many franchises do. They're just trying to ape the same formula that worked for them before. So they looked at what happened with the original Superman movie, and they said, well, who are we going to cast? Well, first, we got to cast the perfect person to play Supergirl. And let's face it, Helen Slater, she looks the part.
Helen Slater is like, if there's an alpha, if you go with the alpha male, there's like the alpha female. She looks like the goddess Athena. Okay,
I know. That's exactly.
I mean, I don't know. She's like the Christopher Reeve double, like how Christopher Reeve is a very handsome man. She's like the female equivalent. She's perfect. I'm sorry, I have nothing but good things to say about Helen Slater.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. True. And so and she's got that. She's the beautiful blonde, blue-eyed girl, right? Just absolutely perfect. Just young enough to be, that sweet, wholesome, you know what I'm saying. But but she was a complete unknown, just like Christopher Reeve was. So what did they do? They said our villain has to be a big name, and it has to be a female villain, right? Because it's a female character,
right?
Faye Dunaway, right?
Yes.
So Faye Dunaway is your answer to
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, exactly. And so
there we go.
So we need so of course we need the equivalent of a female Otis, right? Who do we get? Oh, let's get Brenda Vaccaro, which is fine. It worked. And we need some big names. If not for her parents, people on Krypton. So who do we get? We get Mia Farrow to play Allura, her mother.
Yeah, to the left.
We get Peter O'Toole to play Zoltar, a Obi-Wan type character.
Well, he's sort of like an artist type. Like he's just kind of there messing around.
And teacher then he to her.
Yes. But she ends up creating a bug out of nothing, and it makes a big thing in the city that sends the dodecahedron, or where the heck that thing was, out the.
I'll get to that in just a second.
Magic ball.
Thank you so much, Ruby, who gave Netter a gifted membership on Netter's channel too. Hello, Humans Thade.
Wow.
So welcome back to membership, Thade. Good to thank you so much, Ruby. I hope you're doing well, Ruby. So yes, the big MacGuffin, right, is okay. So here you see her mother and father and her teacher, right? Her father Zor-El, her mother Allura. And by the way, just a little bit of trivia that doesn't come up in the movie at all, but the Kryptonian naming convention, of course, Kal-El, the House of El remains his last name, so his first name is Kal, his last name is El. Women's names work a little differently. They take their father's full name, so she wouldn't be called Kara El. Sorry, CW fans. She would be Kara Zor-El.
Warner Brothers was really going to make the movie, decided to scrap it, and it got sold to TriStar Pictures. That might
TriStar. Yes. Thank you. TriStar. Yeah, there you go. And that's it's oftentimes all of these changing of hands and cutting of budgets that really tends to kill these things. So you have, and so you also had very much lower standard for special effects than you had for the first Superman movie. So you have something called the Omega Hedron, right? If you are a city built on an asteroid with a dome over it floating through space, right? You better have a really good energy source.
It's like Space 1999. You guys, you got to find another planet to colonize. You can't live in this city. Okay.
Well, and see, this is where, if they had gone further with this, and occasionally they have explored this in the comics, there was all kinds of backstory about why Kryptonians didn't want to colonize other planets. Look, they knew about this whole situation with gaining powers under certain suns, and
find an abandoned planet that's with no life form, with no sentient life forms on it. Were they looking for a red sun? I mean, I don't.
Well, yes, there was that. There was also like these major societal taboos against leaving the planet. So this is why they didn't have a modern space program.
They explain that in the book, The Last Days of Krypton, where they were very xenophobic because of a big disaster that happened with them contacting aliens in the past, and it almost destroyed their society. I thought they explained it well, actually.
And also, they've used Kryptonians as a kind of a warning, which is good sci-fi, is to use aliens and advanced cultures as a warning for what could happen to us in the future. Unfortunately, it already has, where they became very insular and, didn't want to pay any attention to what was going on outside anymore. And then they became more standoffish from each other and very divided. And, we can talk about that another time. Anyway, So you have the Omega Hedron, which is the major source of energy. It is the primary source of energy for their planet, or their planetoid, I guess I should call it. And when it becomes lost, unfortunately, somebody has to go after it, or the whole city will die. So she literally takes it upon herself to get into a ship and take off. Now, there is some question the way the story is told. Is she really is Argo City really flying through space, or is it like in an alternate dimension, kind of like the Phantom Zone?
He said it was inner space, Zoltan. He said I'm talking about outer space. We are in inner space. I'm trying to create a ship to go out into outer space to go.
Which was an interesting way of explaining away the comic book, barely decent sci-fi of this planetoid flying through space. There's so many problems with that from the perspective of real world physics. This sounds to me like their explanation for that, but apparently keeping this thing in that inner space or whatever it is back. So she's going to go find this thing, and she follows it basically to Earth. Now, the logical storyline would be, hey, let me seek out my cousin Cal, and he can help me out. But just by coincidence, Cal happens to be on a deep space mission, and isn't around. And that was their way, of course.
It's a little radio clip.
Yes.
You hear it on the car radio that he's busy
and
doing that.
It's their way of dealing with the fact that Christopher Reeve was not coming back because he read the script, basically. Yes, this does predate Superman 4. They did get him back for Superman 4, but yeah, he was already getting very critical of the situation. So anyway, so she comes back to Earth. She takes on her own secret identity because no Kal-El to do it for her. And I thought they did a decent job with what they had to work with. They did introduce Lucy Lane,
Lois Lane's cousin.
Younger sister, played by Maureen
Okay.
Teefy. And there was the return of Oh, what was the actor's name who played Jimmy Olsen?
Same actor, Jimmy Olsen, the actor. I can find out. Hold on, Supergirl cast.
He was yes, he was the same one and he played the brother in Back to the Future as well.
That's right. Oh, for the love of Mike, it's giving me the stupid modern show when I type it into Google. Stop with the CW show.
I know.
Okay,
But anyway,
here we go.
So they were absolutely,
Marc McClure. Marc McClure.
Marc McClure, right? Exactly.
And Maureen Teefy was Lucy Lane. Yes.
Right. And they were doing a great job of following the source material to the best of their ability. But again, this was one of those. Yes, and the outfit, just like in the first Superman movie, spot on.
Yes.
Spot on. Interestingly, there was test footage of her using a more, shall we say, comic book accurate version of the outfit that they were currently using in the comic book at the time, that involved a different style of cape and a headband.
I saw it. I was like, is that her? That looks boots. Terrible.
And it was a very 80s, and a very 80s hairstyle. And it just looked terrible. And it absolutely would have dated the movie. And they decided not to go with it. And it was shortly thereafter that the comic book ditched that whole look too and went to the more traditional Supergirl outfit. Yeah, that's a great shot of her flying. Absolutely. She was not as good in her flying scenes as Christopher Reeve. Very few actors have been. Christopher Reeve really did combine not only his knowledge of dance, but his knowledge as a pilot, and made it look, he really did make you believe a man could fly. Helen Slater was much. Oh yes, of course, the infamous Popeyes tie-in.
Stop it. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. I'm of course talking about the Popeyes restaurant.
Yes, I know.
That is my vice. I have to watch myself no more than once a month. I will go to a Popeyes. I know it's probably the worst thing I can eat. I don't care.
I
best
do
fried
love
chicken chain. Sorry,
I do love the banner there. Love, because that was the slogan.
Love that chicken. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Yes,
exactly.
Yes, but yes, they're not subtle. I mean, it's not quite as bad as in Santa Claus the movie. We'll do that next week, where it's like all McDonald's all the time. Are you kidding me? Holy ribcage lady. You know what? It's the costume, dude. Samuel.
Well, that was it. It was. They had the same kind of problems with her and the tight-fitting leotard as with Superman and the briefs. To what extent do we allow their natural assets to show through, and how much do we obscure them? Yeah, she was a very, very fit girl. Let's put it that way.
Samuel Proctor says, I will not hear any Supergirl headband slander. That's a great one. Maybe it looked all right in the comics. Just what I saw of it, I was like, that's not her. Oh, that is Helen Slater.
We talk about the injection of woke into our franchises. That was an early run of woke, because the whole storyline was that on Krypton the headband was a male fashion accessory, and she decided that as the last daughter of Krypton, she was going to lay claim to the previously patriarchal fashion sensibility. And Clark was like, whatever. Whatever you want to do, girl.
We gave those up a while ago. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Flying scenes, see?
So some of her flying scenes were really good. She had this incredible grace, but all of the landings and takeoffs were just awkward, because she didn't really know how. And to the positive, there was this great scene where she goes to land and she lands in the water very awkwardly, and it's very clear that they're implying she's learning how to fly, so we give her a little bit of grace on this. And yeah, absolutely, they did what I thought was a really great job. The so finding, and she has to reclaim the Omega Hedron from the villain
Serena,
Selena.
Selena.
Selena is the character's name,
Yes.
who is some sort of and this is where it gets really weird because she was like some sort of a
Witch.
wizard or something. She was learning magic, and the idea of there being magic in this way, but magic becomes real because she's able to draw energy
Okay.
from the Omega Hedron, and it's like, so are you telling us that Krypton's science is magic, or what? They were not very
Okay.
yeah.
Here's what I think is going on here. I think
Uh-huh.
magic does exist. It's just very hard for her, being an amateur, to do serious stuff. I think when she gets power, so you're right, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm assuming that maybe this combined
It's
with
like
the
a
magic,
crutch. It gives her,
it's it's like something that can enhance the magic,
They
even though it's really a
imply
scientific
that the
instrument. Yes.
Omega Hedron is some sort of an energy booster. So whatever the energy is that they're using in Krypton, whether it's some sort of a fusion energy or something else, this boosts it to levels like equivalent to a red sun, right? Well, this is boosting her, in quotes, magical energy. It doesn't matter what kind of energy, it's going to boost it. Okay, yes, it is a MacGuffin. It's absolutely true. The thing that I wanted to say though about Selena is that she seems to have been a movie allegory or a version of a character that was created in 1982 for Supergirl called Black Star, who was fixing to be like this new character that was going to be um, uh, a recurring villain for Supergirl. Again, didn't really catch on. There has been some attempts to revive this character in the modern day, but never really did catch on.
Now, to be fair, I don't know if it was the writers or producers. They wanted to use a magic villain because they hadn't done a magic villain in Superman yet. Because, as you know, Superman is susceptible also to magic, as I guess Supergirl would be as well.
And that does
Yes.
kind of play here, but unfortunately you don't get that explanation here. There isn't even any dialogue where you can have someone saying, one of Superman's vulnerabilities is that would have been great if that was something that Jimmy Olsen knew and was able to say, oh, that's right, Superman's got a vulnerability to magic, just like kryptonite. So this is, how is she going to deal with this? Whatever. I don't know. But
there's a scene where she sends an invisible monster after her, which I thought was interesting, and you assume it's some sort of interdimensional demon or something.
It really has this whole and even in the animation for the creature, it plays very much like the Forbidden Planet, and the whole Tempest element.
I had a problem with it though, in the fact that she uses electricity to stop it. And
yeah,
if I'm going by Superman the animated series, no, Superman can't handle volts of electricity. That'll knock him out. One of the villains on that show was Livewire, and she could juice him up and like really do some damage to him. Later on in the show, he developed a kind of a rubber suit to countermand electricity that he would wear sometimes because that could hurt him. Electricity could hurt Superman.
I'm going to say
it's not going to kill him like a person would, but it still hurts him. Yeah, but go ahead.
I am going to say though that was something that came very much out of the Bronze Era at that
later
time,
on. Okay, so at this point, it wasn't there.
There was absolutely no vulnerability to electricity for either Superman or for Supergirl. But yeah, the other thing too is the story wraps up with her defeating Selena, taking the Omega Hedron back to Argo City, restoring it, and Argo City is literally saved, which completely undoes. I mean, that would be the equivalent of at the end of Superman goes back to Krypton and saves Krypton from being destroyed. It makes zero sense. Are they basically saying Supergirl's never going to come back? Or, it didn't make any
A lot of this movie doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense how she just sort of shows up. She knows to go to an academy and type up a letter from Clark Kent admitting her to this academy, and comes with all this stuff. How is she even going to know what an academy on Earth is like and how she has to dress and all this other stuff? Where does she get this information from? This doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. The idea that she has certain understanding, but completely lacks understanding in other areas.
Even if she had studied up on Earth, she would still be a fish out of water. I mean, they sort of play with that a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a wonderful scene though where she's being almost a reversal of what we saw in Superman 2 with the evil Kryptonians, where like these two kind of drunken truckers come up to her and says, "Hey, baby, let's party." And you know, she's and one of them is played by the guy that played Max Headroom. Did you know that?
Oh, was it Matt Fuhrer?
Yes, he's one of the truckers, and she's actually trying to be very nice. Says, "Look, I don't appreciate this. I'm just trying to get this thing and save my city. And we want a party, girl." You know, I mean, she doesn't permanently injure them. It's not like Captain Marvel where she breaks the hand. You know, I mean, it's the guy's hand.
Right, it's very and it's kind
of is living as a pianist too, and no.
Yeah, what's kind of funny is you have Supergirl is played very much as a somewhat immature, very naive type of character who doesn't want to hurt anybody. So when she encounters these guys, she's like, "What's going on? Why are you acting this way?" You know.
Superman didn't have vulnerability electricity. It was lightning, and Livewire was a lightning bolt. Okay, well, that makes more sense, I guess. Okay.
The implication being that, lightning is somehow elemental, and you could argue that there's an element of magic in that, as opposed to, the pure science of lightning being, essentially static electricity.
Troy, when did Mr. Mxyzptlk get introduced to the comics? Because they could have female versions of Mr. Mxyzptlk, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, a female imp from the fifth dimension would.
They showed his wife in on the cartoon series.
Well, so that is
more like Jessica Rabbit, or like that. That's
there's a much more difficult story when you get into Mxyzptlk, and that's because you have all the different eras of Superman all having, in theory, the same Mxyzptlk, whether it was the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age. In theory, this fifth dimensional character sees all of time and recognizes that this is a different Superman, but sort of kind of the same Superman, which is very interesting.
They played with that with Batmite on Batman the Brave and the Bold, because Batmite on Batman the Brave and the Bold knows about all the other iterations of Batman. He knows about like he had a thing with where he says, "Oh, this is from another version of yourself, Death in the Family." And he says, where people voted on whether or not Robin should die. And he says, you know how I voted. And he looks at you at the screen. And it was just ridiculous. And and I'm thinking, I don't know why on Superman they've never tried to do Mr. Mxyzptlk. They could have done him properly on Smallville, and it wouldn't have mattered because it wouldn't have interfered, because he knows who he's going to become. So
sadly, they kind of did.
Yeah, they had him be a meteor freak guy, which was so stupid. But leave it to Smallville to mess that up, because I'm like, you could have just had him be Mr. Mxyzptlk and done an episode with them just doing all this crazy stuff and messing with Clark, and then everything gets reset to normal at the end. Do you understand? And you could do a movie with Mr. Mxyzptlk, and the kids would love it. I don't know why they don't. The suits don't get it. They don't get it.
Absolutely
don't get it. In the beginning, Zarella and Aurora mentioned that their daughter Kara is that they were observing transmissions of TV and radio signals from Earth showing news about Superman's activities.
Right.
In the movie, yes, probably, yeah. I mean,
which would explain why she understands some of it, but not why she doesn't understand certain. It's weak.
And there was a romance thing with the handyman in town getting like energy and stuff, but. Anyway, we should probably move on. But.
Nate points out, I hated Batmite. Well, I get that, but you're supposed to imagine that Batmite was also a fifth dimensional imp. The difference being, whereas Mxyzptlk enjoyed playing with Superman as an adversary.
Yes.
Batmite more was a fan of. So
Yes.
imagine a fan who happens
Yes.
to be this godlike, having these godlike powers and
Yes.
wanting to help and wanting to be a partner.
He
and a
loved
sidekick with
He
them.
loves
Yeah.
Batman. That's why he would send things to fight him, because he wanted to see
Exactly.
Batman get
Which
glory.
Wasn't he always like messing things up?
Yes, because despite his good intentions, he was like the bull in the china shop
Exactly.
in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Teen Titans series had one that was a fanboy version of Robin. Yeah, they did sort of a version of Batmite, except it was a Robin. But you know what he was called? What's
What?
your name? Larry.
Oh God.
That was just it, and it was a similar thing because they hadn't done Batman the Brave and the Bold yet, but Teen Titans was still more for kids. You know, this show, it would have its serious moments though, but it would.
Yeah.
And they did do their own take on Mr. Mixer Spitlick, but they decided to do a Robin instead of a Batman version of it, and his name was Larry.
Nate, I'm not clear on what you're trying to say. You don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
He doesn't like Batmite. Well, for you, Nate, the original Batman the Animated Series has no Batmite except for a brief cameo as a toy that the guy that used to make the robots in the Hard Act episode. He says, "I'm Batmite. I'm your biggest fan." And he says, "Oh, just a toy I'm working on." He puts it aside. So he's not really a character in the original Batman the Animated Series. He's a regular on Batman the Brave and the Bold because Batman the Brave and the Bold is ridiculous. That's the point of that show. Anyway, though.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about this movie. I really did like it. Let's face it, I loved Helen Slater. I thought the casting was perfect.
This hurt her career too. This movie.
Yeah, the overall implementation was not the best. While I reiterate, there was a lot to like about this. Yes, there was some real inadequacies about this film as well.
I will say though that Legend of Billie Jean. You want to see a great Helen Slater movie? Check out the Legend of Billie Jean. It's a classic.
Absolutely true. Yes.
All right, we got to get to the news. We may be pushing through these because I don't want us to be past the time. But first news story of the night. Fortunately, we have a death.
Yes, we do, and this one took me by surprise. You see his face and you go, "Man, I know him. Where do I know him from?" And then you read and you're like, wow. Again, another character actor that I think deserves some attention.
Yeah, Peter Green, a character actor best known for his role in the iconic villain Zed in Pulp Fiction, has died. He was 60. He died in his home in New York City. His manager, Greg Edwards, confirmed on Friday. His cause of death was not immediately released. He was a terrific guy, said Edwards, arguably one of the greatest character actors on the planet. He worked with everybody. Born in Montclair, New Jersey, Green landed some of his first leading roles in Laws of Gravity in 1992 and Clean and Shaven in 1993, according to Internet Movie Database. In 1994, he played the memorable villain in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, who is brought into torture characters played by Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames. That same year, he played another leading villain opposite Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz in The Mask. I forgot he was the villain in The Mask, remember?
Yeah, there was
the gangster character, yes.
When I was looking for pictures for the thumbnail, one of them had him front and center, then his portrayal as Zed, and then unfortunately Carrey as the Mask. And I'm like, that wasn't his character. That's wrong. Because he does put on the mask. And he becomes like
the mask reflects your personality.
Mm-hmm.
So he looked more like a Frankenstein type monster,
right,
when he puts it on, because it takes on your personality or who your inner self is. For Jim Carrey, it was more like a Looney Tunes style character, like the Mask, right? And for this guy, it was something darker. And then, of course, there's a wonderful scene in the movie where the dog gets the mask.
That was that funny. Yeah,
The Mask is a great superhero movie. Actually, that's an underrated superhero movie, definitely. But never had a chance to watch Pulp Fiction, so there's a little chance I know it is. You should check out Pulp Fiction, Matanui. It's it's a classic. I should rewatch that. I haven't seen it in ages. Oh, anything left to say though? Rest in peace. I'm actually sad he's gone. For some reason, it reminds me of Josh Lucas a little bit in his face.
Oh yeah. He so the Mask no, excuse me. What I meant to say, Pulp Fiction you guys were talking about nonlinear storytelling
Yep.
in the previous stream, and that's a great example of good nonlinear
Yes.
storytelling. Yeah.
It's great. I need to rewatch Pulp Fiction. It's been
Jesse Green is absolutely right. The comics do differ. They're just as off the wall as the movie was, but they're more of a horror show and way more violent.
interesting. I'll have to look into that then. All right, but rest in peace. That's young at 60. I'm shocked. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we read an article I only care about, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all who want to say I want to get into retro gaming, this is your retro gaming dream. I'm on the fence of picking this up, but I might. We'll see. Full-size Amiga A1200 retro gaming system comes with modern HDMI port, 25 classic games. Retro Games Limited has lifted the curtain on the upcoming Amiga 1200 remake, and pre-orders will be open from November 10th. I guess they'll be open. Units will be launching on June 2026. We still don't know the price, but we have more details on the hotly anticipated retro computer. I will tell you the price right now. You may pre-order this on Amazon for $189.99.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That is not a bad price.
Well, here's what's interesting about this. This has a working keyboard.
Yeah,
This is not like the prior. I mean, this is a mini console. Let's be honest here. This is a
Right.
recreation of the Amiga 1200. I believe it comes with the operating system. I'm curious, is there a way to hook up your old floppy drive to this and play the discs? I don't know. The A1200 is definitely
Well, do you even need to? This comes with a bunch of games, doesn't it?
comes with 25 games plus.
Yeah.
I think as long as you quote unquote purchase them legally, cough cough, you could actually install more Amiga games on these if you get them maybe from the high seas, if you know what I mean, and put them on a thumb drive. You can load them. I don't care. It's not like anyone's taking going to the trouble of actually making these things be available to purchase legitimately anyway. So go ahead.
Right.
But it's
no, I was going to say HDMI port. That means you don't have to hook it up to an old fashioned TV. You can hook it up to, high definition big screen if you want.
Well, I'm curious. You might want to buy a computer monitor for this to have it be like the old days. But you could actually plug it into. They actually still sell 4x3 monitors. You just plug it into a 4x3 monitor and pretend like you're living in 1991 when this was a big deal. People probably don't know what this is. Age Moon, that's a hell of a lot cheaper than the Xboxes. Well, this is essentially a mini console, and mini consoles have not been this expensive, but this is sort of a mini computer emulation. And I don't know if any of you know what the Amiga was. The Commodore Amiga was Commodore's 16-bit home computer. Revolutionary for the time, had graphics. We got an NES in '89. Go over to my cousin Andrew's house and see Shadow of the Beast running on this thing. I was floored by the graphics. Now, eventually, consoles would catch up. You'd get the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, which could also put out some decent graphics. But if you were a fan of point-click adventure games, the heyday of the point-click adventure game, this might be up with your alley if you can get your hands on the ROMs, because a majority of the King's Quests came out on this. Ace Quest, Police Quest. A lot of those Sierra titles. Unfortunately, no Phantasmagoria. That was too advanced for this. But the sound on this is actually rather good, too. This had a good sound chip in it, better than what they had on the DOS computers. I'm curious, though. It's going to come with 25 games. It's going to come with Defender of the Crown. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I do, yeah.
It was like a medieval-based game. It's going to come with the Settlers 2. It's going to come with the whole Turrican trilogy. I mentioned that's coming out to Evercade a little while back.
Yeah.
The Settlers 2, which took 30 years to arrive on the media. Oh, they just ported it recently. Okay, so it's going to have some newer games on there, too. That's interesting. It's not all about the games. A1200 comes with an integrated Workbench desktop. Workbench was the operating system for the Amiga, and it blew many minds when it was unveiled at CES in 1984. What version of Workbench is included with the A1200 is unknown. Wait a minute, can I actually, is going to have a typing program on here? That's what I don't understand.
I
It's
don't see why not.
It's
I
so
mean,
bizarre to me. I mean, the original Commodore Amiga was introduced in '92 and was extended the form factor of the previous Amiga 600 into a sleeker case than the Amiga 500. Under the hood, the Amiga 1200 ran a Motorola 68EC020 at 14 megahertz, double the speed of the older Amigas. It had 2 megabytes of chip
mhm,
RAM, a
yep.
side-loading floppy drive, and space for internal ID hard drive in expensive edition 92. Graphics capabilities were much improved over previous generation. The AGA Advanced Graphics Architecture provided more colors on the screen. Older Amigas could render up to 4,996 colors using ham, hold, and modify, but this was typically for static images. If you wanted better Amiga graphics on a budget, then you paid for the A1200. I'm kind of excited about this. I don't know, because I'm thinking in these days when gaming's become where we're being priced out of a lot of the modern consoles. I don't know, maybe go retro. There were thousands of games released on the Amiga.
I've heard a lot of, and I don't even know if it's just old timers like us,
Yeah.
but I've heard a lot of people saying that, people don't really care so much about the better graphics, better sound, better this, better that anymore. They just want good games. And sometimes going back to old stuff, you can play some good games.
I think even the younger generations don't necessarily poo-poo the older games. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why some of these companies like Nintendo, they put a tight thing on these older titles, because they realize the older games can compete with the newer games a lot of the time. So I
And I
think a
would
great
say
game
that
is timeless.
unlike with movies, I think this is why sometimes updated versions of older games can be very, very successful, assuming that they are keeping everything that people loved and just making them look a little bit better, make them sound a little bit better, make them, respond a little bit better.
And that's what Night Dive Studios does. That they were
Yeah.
recently bought out by Atari recently, but I've loved what they've done with a lot of these boomer shooters. They did a redone version of the Blade Runner game that was on PCs. I want Night Dive, if you're hearing me, and if it's possible, make Phantasmagoria for modern consoles and PC.
Yeah.
I want a remastered version of that to play, because obviously I can't get it on this. Though the Amiga 1200 was Commodore's equivalent to the Tramiel family's Atari 5600 ST, for they both use Motorola 800 GPU running at 16 bits. It's also important to know that the Amiga computers were very popular in Europe at the time, especially in England. Well, counting England as part of Europe. So it comes with a mouse and a game controller. Look at that, huh?
Yeah.
Mice were a big deal. You could play Lemmings with your mouse. Remember Lemmings? That was a big.
Oh, I loved
big
Lemmings.
that
Yes.
was a big Amiga game. So I don't know. 189. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I mean, this looks very nice, and it might open up a door I've never. I'd love to replay all the King's Quest games again, because they're just not
Uh-huh.
available on anything. Maybe they're
Yeah.
available on PC somewhere, but they're not available on console.
I think they're
And
on Steam. They're on Steam.
yeah,
I
okay.
have some of the old discs still.
Yeah, that's true. Netter still has all the old
There
discs.
you go. This is why I was joking. I wonder if there's a place for you to hook up an old Amiga disk drive and actually play this on there. I wonder
Yeah.
if they're doing Amiga, if anyone is eventually going to come out with an old DOS PC recreation.
Yeah, could be.
You never know. Maybe that's in the works. But I just thought this was neat. Okay, so there we go. And here we are into modern gaming. Call of Duty admits defeat and changes release structure. This has been a disaster, from what I can tell. The developers of Call of Duty You've heard of Call of Duty, correct?
Yes.
Call of Duty in years past was always guaranteed to sell, because even if the main campaign wasn't good, people tended to buy it for the multiplayer. But for some reason, this version sucks so much, people just skipped it and said, we're going over to Battlefield, which I guess is EA's competitor for this. Let me read the article. Okay, the developers of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 have released a public statement addressing the game's issues and promising to move away from the annual release schedule. Since launch, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has received mixed critical reception and a scathing public one. This isn't helped by the rise of other shooters in 2025 like Battlefield 6, which has absolutely destroyed it in sales. The reception of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has been so rough that a statement has been uploaded to the game's official website. In response, the statement can be read as an apology and as a declaration of new direction for the franchise's release schedule. They basically just apologized for releasing a crap game.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they should.
maybe offer rebates too. That's another idea, guys. You can think
Well.
about that. Unfortunately, Microsoft owns the company now that made it. I noticed whenever Xbox acquires studios, suddenly the games start turning to crap. This happened with that one, the one about the vampires, which was a disaster. Developers Call of Duty Black Ops 7 acknowledge the game hasn't met the standards of many new players and are incorporating the feedback they've received so far. The players will get a chance to experience the game's multiplayer modes for free as part of a trial weekend that has double experience points. See, I'm already lost here. You got to get experience points in these things now? Okay. There have been reports of Call of Duty Black Ops underperforming in sales, which is shocking given how the franchise has dominated for so long. And I'm actually a little shocked that it did dominate for so long. I mean, in every generation of games, like you'd have like the It game that constantly sold well, but eventually that would taper off. Like in years past, Tony Hawk series was big. Then you got Guitar Hero was a big thing that would sell all the time. But then eventually people got bored and moved on to a new thing. But Call of Duty was pretty consistent, but I just heard this was a disaster. 2025 has seemed a marked shift in the video game industry with indie titles and AA games becoming huge hits. Few people could have predicted Call of Duty falling off, and Activision Blizzard will still need to make changes if it wants to put it back on top. You know what's funny about this? Microsoft paid over $7 billion for Activision, basically to get the rights to Call of Duty. And then after they get the rights, Call of Duty ceases to become popular anymore.
Well,
I mean... the main reason Call of Duty Black Ops crap is because they turned it into Fortnite. Well, they basically took what made the game work and changed it for the audience that likes Fortnite, but the audience that likes Fortnite plays Fortnite. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's where the logic completely breaks down, right? You're trying to get an audience when they're already locked into what they like. So, sorry, that's not going to work.
Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting that they did issue an apology this week, and people must be screaming over at Xbox right now over this disaster, because this is supposed to sell Game Pass. You can play the new Call of Duty for free by subscribing for $30 a month or however much they're charging you now, and it's like it's not really free when you're paying for it.
Right.
Oh. And now we have President Donald Trump weighing in on the Netflix Warner Brothers deal.
Yep.
Says it could
talked about this a little bit last week.
Oh, yeah. President Donald Trump weighed in on Netflix's proposed $72 billion deal to acquire Warner Brothers. Discovery saying he would be involved in the review and that the combined entity's market share could be a problem. On December 7th, Trump told reporters as he arrived at the Kennedy Center honors in Washington, D.C., that he had met with Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos. The president did not say whether he favored approval for the deal, but praised Sarandos and noted that Netflix has a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot, Trump said. That's going to be for some economists to tell, but it is a big market share. There's no question it could be a problem. Netflix announced on December 5th that it agreed to buy Warner Brothers Discovery's TV and film studios and streaming division for $72 billion, a deal that would give the streaming pioneer control of one of Hollywood's most prized and oldest assets. The agreement follows a weeks-long bidding war in which Netflix seized the lead with an almost $28 a share offer that eclipsed Paramount Skydance's nearly 24 a share bid for the whole of Warner Brothers Discovery, including the cable TV assets slated for a spinoff. The planned acquisition has faced political pushback and antitrust concerns. Republicans in Congress warned that a Netflix acquisition would reduce consumer choice and give the company an unacceptable high share of the streaming market. Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah who leads the antitrust subcommittee, said on December 3rd that a Netflix by Warner Brothers Discovery streaming assets should send alarm to antitrust enforcers around the world. Democrats, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, also criticized the agreement. This deal looks like an anti-monopoly nightmare, Warren said in a statement. A Netflix Warner Brothers would create one massive media giant with control of close to half of the streaming market, threatening to force Americans into higher subscription prices and fewer choices over what and how they watch while putting American workers at risk. Netflix has said the deal would create jobs and give its 300 million subscribers more bang for their buck. That deal would eliminate competition between HBO Max and Netflix, is likely to face significant antitrust review by the Justice Department. So it's interesting that people on both sides of the aisle are yelling about this. So
And
I thought that was
yeah,
interesting.
and when you have Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump being on the same side of
Yes.
something, you might want to stop and pay attention. Just saying.
Let's see. Trump's son-in-law is working with the Ellison family at Skydance Paramount in the acquisition of Warner Discovery. I think we'll be getting to that in a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And look, this thing does have a lot of moving parts. I don't want to get too much into the weeds. It is fine if you want to look at those, very political, relationship related things. In fact, you're wise to do so. You should be wise to take those things into account if you're trying to sell your damn studio. Just saying. But be that as it may, even if those relationship issues weren't in play, this is still a big antitrust issue, and the entire industry is screaming about it. I would say that any administration that tried to help push this through would be fighting an uphill battle against everyone. The entire entertainment industry, all of the unions, basically every stockholder that owns stock in both Warner Brothers and Paramount. So yeah, this is not a winning move to try and bat Netflix on this. But stupider things have happened in politics, so who knows?
So moving on to the next article, it continues. A nightmare. The battle over Warner Brothers is turning Hollywood upside down. Oh, wait a minute.
This is what I was alluding to, yes.
Oh, wait, I missed. There's another article before that. I'll read this real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, this is just Warner Bros. Discovery hinges on the value of Crapco. Spotlight on the crown jewels, HBO Studios, the Warner Brothers Film Vault, and DC Comics, but the fate of Warner Bros. Discovery could rest on the value of its much maligned cable TV portfolio. Discovery Global Networks, the corporate division that houses CNN, Food Network, TNT, and 24 other networks and digital brands, have often been uncharitably referred to as the Crapco, or a specific spicier variation of the pejorative that starts with an S. It's mean, but cable's contribution to media parent companies continues to fall amid sword cutting. Networks still throw off cash, and they are declining assets that are being quarantined by Hollywood's healthier, faster growing businesses. Citing the downturn, Paramount's hostile $108 billion cash offer for all of Warner Brothers Discovery values the network's division at a mere $1 a share. Interesting. Netflix is buying the studios and streaming assets to deal for $82.7 billion announced last week. The spinoff of the new publicly traded company called Discovery Global is expected in third quarter 2026. Paramount launched its hostile offer on Monday. That drama will be playing out over the next weeks and months. Netflix cash and stock works bids out to $27.75 a share. Paramount is at $30 a share, so the value of cable assets, whether they bridge the gap between the two, is key. So interesting. So I take it this is a purchase for the whole kit and caboodle, not just
That's what Paramount is asking for. Yes. That's another reason why that would be a better financial deal. That's why there's a lot of people saying you're not making the best decision for the stockholders of Warner Brothers there. Just anyway. So, okay, yeah, go ahead. You wanted to bring that one up. I want to get back to Jesse's point.
Oh, sorry. Where was that?
So, Jesse said, Age of Boomer, Netflix doesn't make jobs. They destroy the workforce. Just look what happened to video stores and movie rental shops. And, guys, I'm going to tell you, those are the kinds of points that you need to make when you're having this discussion with some brainless idiot, that is carrying the water for Netflix. If they read an article and they say, well, Netflix said they make jobs. Yeah, tell me one job that they make, because I can tell you all these jobs that they've destroyed.
Well, they're going to make jobs for Netflix and fire everybody from Warner Brothers. Okay.
But they're also going to shut down the entire entertainment industry. A lot of people, everyone who works for a movie theater is going to lose their jobs. Everyone who owns a movie theater is going to lose their business. So yeah, tell me about all the jobs you're going to make for your company without acknowledging all the jobs that you will be destroying. But yes, a merger between Warner Brothers and Paramount would keep local movie theaters alive, and they would continue to publish DVD, Blu. That's the other thing. All of the DVDs and Blu-rays, people that work for that industry would all be put out of work too. By Netflix. This is the same kind of mentality that you hear from politicians where they say, you know, in this year we made this many jobs. No, you didn't. You caused a financial situation that caused everybody to lose their jobs last year. And when some of those jobs start to get recouped, you don't get to say you made those jobs.
You know, I do want to say though too, I think none of this is ideal, but I think that Paramount is the better choice because they're at least still playing it, like you said, releasing movies in
Exactly.
theaters, DVDs, and still being a Hollywood studio. I have to say, this just brings home the point that I unfortunately suspected that this was going to be a fire sale. All this stuff that Warner Brothers was doing with the Harry Potter TV show, with saying, "Oh, we're hiring James Gunn to make a cinematic DC universe," I think this was all about just propping up the cost as much as they can go, so they can dump it on somebody else and flee with the money. I
Well,
don't
yes,
there's any
and,
care
but
about reforming this studio and turning it into something independent like it used to be. I think it's already this has probably just been a dead studio for a while now.
the other problem is that I think Zaslav is looking at, you know, what this article is calling what was it, crap something or other.
Yeah.
It thinks that it's worth more than it actually is. So that's why he is interested in the Netflix deal of selling off, you know, what's valuable now, because he thinks he can turn the other stuff into something more valuable later. And Paramount is going, maybe, we're willing to take it right now.
Yeah.
All of it, lock, stock, and barrel.
Keep in mind too that when they're buying this, they're also buying the debt. Warner Brothers has an atrocious amount of debt, right?
Actually, you know, Jesse makes another great point here. They'll fire everyone from Warner Brothers uh, and Paramount and maybe get less than. Well, see, because if Netflix gets hold of Warner Brothers, they're not getting any portion of Paramount. This is.
Hey,
It's either or, Paramount or Netflix. But you're right. They will fire everyone from Warner Brothers. A lot of people will lose their jobs. And Zaslav doesn't care. He makes his money.
tell me, has it been great for MGM after Amazon bought them out? I'm just asking the chat. I don't think it has been.
Yeah.
I watched Oh What Fun last night, their original Christmas movie this year with Michelle Pfeiffer and other actors. It was atrocious. Um, I I can't deal with it. I swear some of these made for streaming movies remind me of like the old made for video movies, but they have all star cast, which is bizarre to me. So it's like
Right.
you're watching something. It feels like the quality, and I think it boils down to the writing. That's what it is. It's just the writing feels off in everything these days. Zaslav should be okay. Well, that's your opinion, Wallace.
I mean, he's not wrong, but, you know.
All right, let's move into. Sorry, I meant to have a picture for that last article. A nightmare. The battle over Warner Brothers is turning Hollywood upside down.
Yes.
Disaster from BBC. Disaster, catastrophic, and nightmare. That's how Hollywood's creative workers describe the fall of the once mighty Warner Brothers as Netflix and Paramount battle to buy the historic studio and Tinseltown braces for more upheaval and job losses. Warner's decline and impending sale, whether it's to Paramount Skydance as a whole or to Netflix cut up into parts, is being mourned by in Hollywood, where a historic production slump has already battered the entertainment industry. Well, the loss of the studio, which created iconic films ranging from Casablanca and Goodfellas to Batman and Harry Potter, likely means more job cuts, and definitely means one less buyer of film and TV projects. I would ask though, has Warner Brothers been creating iconic movies in recent years?
Well, yeah.
And this is where we run into the problem. They did Mickey 17 this year, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
I just interviews with dozens of actors and producers and camera crews from by the BBC reveal an industry attempting to weigh in on the lesser of two evils, controlled by a tech giant blamed for killing movie theaters and Netflix, or a billionaire seen as too cozy with President Trump. Oh, yeah, okay. David Ellison is a right-wing billionaire Trumper. A camera assistant said of the Paramount Skydance CEO, who is the son of billionaire Oracle co-founder and close ally Larry Ellison. Netflix is much more historically inclined to not micromanage production. If Netflix gets the deal they want, they will buy. Well, I'm sorry, maybe production needs to be micromanaged a little bit because we've been having disastrous movies.
Yeah, and you also have to, again, with everything you read, you always have to think who's speaking, who is the audience, and cui bono, right? Who benefits from what they're saying?
Okay.
Yeah, you live in a world where you have an administration. You may not like him, but it is the reality that has to be dealt with. And again, who was it who said elections have consequences? Oh, right, Barack Obama. He
Yes.
wasn't wrong. He wielded that as a cudgel, but you forget the cudgel is sometimes held by the other guy later on, and it's still true. So you guys lost that election, and now you have these consequences that you're gonna have to deal with. And part of that is this is the guy who's going to decide whether or not this deal goes through or not. Congratulations.
Let's see. It goes on to say if Netflix gets the deal they want, they will buy Warner Brothers Crown Jewels, the 102-year-old studio, HBO, and its vast archive of films and TV shows, leaving Warner's legacy TV networks like CNN, TNT Sports, and Discovery for another buyer. That's the stuff nobody really wants.
Right.
I guess
That is
Discovery is the most valuable of that stuff. I'm sorry, what did Netter say?
I
No,
didn't say anything.
she didn't.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were something. Meanwhile, Paramount Skydance's $108 billion hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers includes backing from Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, and a fund started by Jared Kushner, U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law. It has raised concerns about the possibility of censorship and government overreach. President Trump added fuel to the fire when he said it's imperative that CNN be sold. The Warner Brothers deal is the latest in a long line of major shakeups in Hollywood since the pandemic. Film and TV productions ground to a halt in 2023 during simultaneous actor and writer strikes. Seemingly everyone in Hollywood was working in 2022 as studios and streaming services went into creative overdrive after COVID shutdowns. But when the labor strikes ended, the production boom never returned. The fallout has meant that many media companies have had to close doors or merge. David Ellison's Skydance Media bought Paramount, another legendary Hollywood studio, earlier this summer, leading to thousands of job losses. When Warner Brothers put up a for sale sign, Paramount launched an eager campaign to buy the company, but the studio ultimately announced the deal with Netflix. A spurned Paramount then went direct to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders with a hostile takeover offer that they said is superior to the Netflix deal. Whether they're rooting for Paramount or Netflix or another potential buyer, the one thing people in Hollywood seem to agree on is the story's villain, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who earned $51.9 million last year as Warner Brothers lost more than $11 billion and the company stock fell nearly 7%. I watched Warner Brothers struggle since David Zaslav. No, sorry, okay. Warner Brothers was struggling before Zaslav. That's how he ended up
true.
taking over. It was a disaster. We've been talking about this since I've been starting this stream with Jacen
Well,
and the moronic day and date with the streaming and movie theater stuff.
And again, I reiterate who is speaking, who is the audience, and cui bono. When they make comments like they're concerned about censorship, you're full of crap. Okay, we have seen the actual censorship for the past, since at least 2019. Okay, we have seen people getting deplatformed. We have seen the bull crap that we're getting out of cable news and the mainstream media, and you're just afraid that your hyper partisan lies are going to be drowned out by actual media, actual
CNN's
journalism.
terrible. CNN's terrible.
Yeah.
CNN, I used to think back in the day was like just the straight up news channel, whereas MSNBC was the left, and I guess Fawkes was the right, and CNN just went nuts. Anyway, I don't feel like getting into the weeds on that though. But I watched Warner Brothers struggle since David Zaslav became CEO, ran into the ground. Says an actor who lost his home after his work dried up. He did not want to be identified because he still hopes to work for Netflix and Paramount. Well, at least he has a brain there, because some actors run their mouth and identify themselves.
I
more
mean, look, that's the way it's been since forever. Forever. Right? There was always, you don't say something to piss off half of your audience. That was just smart. That was called being a part of the entertainment industry, knowing what celebrity means.
More than one person compared Mr. Zaslav to the fiction movie character Gordon Gekko, who proclaims greed is good in the 1987 movie Wall Street. I, you know,
Again, who is speaking?
I'm not
Who
a
is
fan
their
of
audience?
Zaslav, but this is ridiculous. This is this is
No, none of this happens without a profit motive. You idiot. You know, are you telling me you're writing this article for free?
no.
Are you doing that?
This is another. I can't believe I have to defend Zaslav here. Zaslav is just Gordon Gekko. He came and broke it, sold it all. No, he came in and there were all these projects that were started before he got there, and they all tanked because they were projects nobody wanted.
Right.
Back from the previous idiots that ran the thing. I mean, I remember when Zaslav said it just. Warner Brothers objected to that characterization. Under the leadership of David and the talented team at Warner Bros. Discovery the last 3.5 years, the studio has regained its leadership position with a unique slate of films led by original content, seeing the relaunch of the DC Universe under a single unified leadership team with a 10-year plan. No, this is the other side of the BS coin.
Yeah.
What's the plan for DC? The plan is to make it seem like you have a plan, it seems. We're going to get into that in a little bit with the latest trailer for a certain DC movie. For many film wreckers, whoever buys Warner Brothers is felt almost irrelevant. They haven't said, but
you know what you just said? That basically shows you the exact bias that they're pushing. They, anyone that's saying, oh, they have a great unified DC. No. This is someone who's shilling something for you here.
They fired Johnny Depp from the Fantastic Beasts series. That was a franchise that had a successful franchise, a franchise that was being carried by Johnny Depp. And to J.K. Rowling's credit, she was backing him as much as she could during that whole trial with his ex-wife, where the current CEO of Warner Brothers at the time, she took the side and said, "Oh, let's Me Too Johnny Depp and get him off the whole thing before the information ever came out," and they replaced him with another actor, and the movie tanked because nobody wanted to go see it after they ruined Johnny Depp, and they destroyed another one of their franchises. They have been shooting themselves in the foot for years now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Don't even get me started on the post-Snyderverse DC films or post-Snyder DC films, which were like the last Shazam movie they did, which nobody saw, and the last Aquaman movie they did that nobody saw.
Yep.
Every morning, no matter in the Flashpoint movie.
Yep.
The Flash movie. Every morning, no matter how much I tell myself to stay positive, I wake up feeling I failed in every direction, says an actor who is now homeless with his wife and 2 children, relying on the kindness of friends and food banks while he works odd jobs. I'm sorry. That sucks. It is Hollywood, and you have too many people in positions of power that don't know what they're doing. And I'm not going to read the rest of this. You can check it out later. But it's just. What does he say? I joke about Elon walking in and doing this, but he could. They say of Tesla next owner, when you have people worth trillions of dollars, there are no rules. What does Elon have to do with this?
The speculation is Elon coming in and buying up a company, but he has shown absolutely no interest in buying an entertainment company. Anyone who's still taking pokes at Elon isn't paying attention to what's going on.
I don't know, Geek Flag. I know they became a lot less profitable without Johnny Depp. I knew people who were fans of those movies saying that they would not go see it without Depp.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think they were probably anticipating there was more to those series than those 3 movies. But I will say, before the merge with David Zaslav, Discovery, Cartoon Network, and HBO, the head of CN was canceling a lot of shows plus they were pushing nothing but Teen Titans Go. Don't get me started on Teen Titans Go. I mentioned nostalgia for Teen Titans because I liked Teen Titans. I have not liked Teen Titans Go. And that was another one of these cartoons where they insulted the audience for complaining about the fact that the show changed later on. Okay, we had a trailer come out.
Supergirl.
Oh, God.
Here we go.
I'll read the article, then we can comment on it. It's not long. It's finally here, the first trailer for Warner Brother DC Studios' next big summer movie, Supergirl, starring House of Dragons' Millie Alcock in the title role as Superman's cousin who has a drinking problem. Fans,
Yes.
I got to keep my mouth shut. I want to start talking right now. Fans got a glimpse of Alcock as Supergirl at the end of James Gunn's Superman when she stumbles into the Man of Steel's Fortress of Solitude. In the trailer, it looks like Kara would have no problem living in the same colorful ragtag gang universe as Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. What's clear is that this Kara isn't a carbon copy of Superman a la Supergirl from the 1984 movie. She has her own personal demons. Not only does she have the grit to take on any Mad Max type who comes her way, but what sets her apart from Kal-El? He sees the good in everyone, and I see the truth, she emphasizes in the trailer here. Superman's dog Krypto is along for the adventure. It's not Superman's dog, according to the series, it's her dog.
Yeah, exactly.
The movie, directed by Craig Gillespie, is based on Tom King's 2022 comic book series Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which Bill Quest ably illustrated. And okay, so I haven't read this. Is she drunk in this comic series?
Yes.
Oh,
This
so
is
this is from the comics. Okay.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. This is what I was talking about in the chat during Deleted's stream. This is an example of them doing something from the comics and saying, "See, we're following the source material," and us all going, "Yeah," and it was shit then too.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't. Who asked for drunk Supergirl? This is my question.
Well, Tom King, because he has his own demons he's trying to work with. So, he has to write stories where people are dealing with loss and post-traumatic stress and drinking issues and going to see therapists. Oh yeah, he had a whole run where he had the entire Justice League going for analysis. And that was the whole story, seeing from the doctor's point of view, them on the couch talking about their problems. That's who Tom King is.
What annoying character, the dog? Sorry, I missed the context on this. But look, all I know is from
Well,
this.
as a dog person, I'm going to say you never blame the dog. You blame the owner.
Well, you blame
And
the
in this
owner.
case,
Yes.
who is the owner? Supergirl? Okay, you could blame her, but who created this Supergirl? James Gunn. James Gunn is the owner. He's the one you should be blaming.
Well, here's another thing I'm disturbed by. This has a different director, so I thought maybe a different director, that it's not all going to be James Gunn's vision, that you'll have other directors having their own takes on these heroes, but no, it's all going to be gun stuff in these, it looks like. The first scene we see in this trailer is Krypto taking a whiz on a daily issue of the Daily Planet with Superman on the cover.
Yep.
And then she's like, oh great, you hit on the paper. Okay, for starters,
Did you read what the two articles were on the cover?
something about a nuclear power plant or something?
Yeah. And then right next to it, Supergirl, I don't know, it was something stupid, like Supergirl stops a bike thief or something like that. And I'm like, okay, this is very clear that they're doing the whole patriarchy, the poor girl kind of thing, and I see what it is. This is going to be, relegate Superman to a Jake Skywalker kind of situation.
Is this universe? I get the feeling that they'll keep Superman as Superman, but it's like Superman's an embarrassment. Like he's the hero that doesn't kill people when he should kill people. Oh, this guy, and this is what and I have a lot of problem with that scene with him. Not just the fact the dog's urinating. Okay, I'm sure that's symbolic, but also when your dog has to go out, the dog is supposed to whine, and then you put the leash on and you walk the dog.
Right.
And if the dog is wetting, you have to train him. You have to put him inside a cage at night, and then when he learns,
that's why I said you don't blame the dog, you blame the owner.
And I'm kind of disturbed by this, actually, as someone who's had dogs. There's there is a relationship you have with the dog. The dog has to act a certain way, and you as the owner also have to act a certain way. You both have your responsibilities. Like
Exactly
the dog has
right.
to let you know when it has to go out, and the dogs. And I've had two dogs. They do the same thing. They do a little whine, and then you say, "Do you want to go out?" And then the dog jumps and wags the tail. Okay, and to get the leash, and that's how you know the dog has to be walked. And then the dog goes to the bathroom. Then you come back. You can give him a treat or play with her or whatever.
But this is a girl who can't even take care of herself. She's clearly not taking care of this dog.
All right, hold on.
Which is also a reason why you don't want her trying to take care of a city or, a town or, get somebody's bike back that's been stolen.
Oh, are you referring to Lobo Matanui? Not a fan of Lobo?
So I happen to really like Lobo, but Lobo isn't even supposed to be a part of this. This is James Gunn trying to shoehorn a character into. So this is where he differs from the source material. He's shoehorning in a character that he wants to set up for something else by shoving him into this Woman of Tomorrow story.
Apologies. Okay, so Lobo was in the Woman of Tomorrow story. That's what's going on.
No.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, he was in the trailer. We know that he's going to be in this movie. In fact, he did so well with test audiences, they're going to make his role larger. And I'm like, don't come at me and tell me you're drawing from the source material and then you're doing this crap.
Let's see. Did we not get a Superman animated movie where Superman showed everyone why it's a bad idea to decide he shouldn't decide who lives or dies? Yeah, that I believe that was the Superman versus the Elite, which was also based on a comic book, which was a good comic book that was written, and they based one of the animated movies on it. And instead of that, though, we get James Gunn wanting to introduce the Authority, which the Elite is based on. The Elite is a criticism of the Authority, that style of superhero team, and. I'm going to use some language here. I don't care. I'm tired of superheroes are supposed to be people you look up to, not assholes with powers. And I get the impression that this whole universe is going to be filled with them like this. Except for Superman, he'll be the one that's okay, and everyone else is going to be a jerk. And I don't want to see this. Go ahead.
No. It's just that it's if James Gunn wanted to do his version, or he wanted to bring in his formula of Guardians of the Galaxy. Lobo is absolutely the character to do it. Supergirl is not. And he has this way of getting it like maybe partially right, half right. And he really needs to stop.
In theory, giving characters an alcohol problem could be ripe for great stories. Demon in a Bottle, for example, with the environment also looks. And I also feel that's also Marvel too. And
I was going to say it's also people have lost the plot when it comes to what the difference is supposed to be between Marvel and DC. They have always were very, very different things. However, even in DC, you did have storylines.
Like Speedy, I think.
Speedy on heroin and stuff like that. There are storylines to be done like that.
Even Batman did get addicted to Venom in one comic, I remember.
Yes.
Before Bane was introduced. He had to lock himself inside the Batcave, told Alfred, you don't let me out.
But the difference is that you have 30 years of stories on these characters, and then this is the one that's like, wow, this is a little bit different. This is the very special episode.
Maybe you don't start out that way.
Exactly. You don't start with that. You establish who the character is first. You don't make that who the character is. This is, again, Tom King, who needs help. He really does. He should not be put in charge of something to work out his own problems with a multi-billion-dollar property.
Well, we'll see how the audience reacts. I have a suspicion this is not going to do well, but who knows? We'll see as time goes on.
Yep.
It's like she doesn't care. There's not the smiling Supergirl we had from Helen Slater where she just wants to save the day.
Well, and so this is what I was getting at with something that was starting with the Helen Slater era. There were no stakes for her, right? Once she saved Argo City, hey, everything's wonderful, happy ending. But the whole idea is supposed to be a little bit of a tragic background, right? Whereas Clark was rocketed to Earth as an infant, doesn't even remember his time in Krypton, right?
Yes.
This is a teenage girl who lived her life. Can you imagine being a teenage girl and your whole city gets nuked and you're the only one to survive?
But you know what? I'm sorry. Throughout human history, tragedy befalls people and they rise above it.
This is what I was getting at, Boomer.
Yes.
That's what makes somebody a hero.
Yes.
Is living through that tragedy and rising above it. And yes, I know you're going to have the Snyder bot types, the grimdark people. Well, this is her learning to be. That's fine, but there still has to be something positive to pin that on. There's got to be that little bit of hopefulness.
Well, where is Superman in all of this? Shouldn't he be serving as a mentor to her?
Oh, we can't have a man being a mentor to a girl.
Well, where's Wonder Woman then? Okay, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, well, therein lies your other problem. Where indeed is Supergirl, or is Wonder Woman? She's one of the big three. They have not managed to figure out their quagmire with Batman, and they've got Wonder Woman slated for what, 2035 or something like that.
You know what?
I'm exaggerating. I hope I'm exaggerating.
I remember on the Justice League cartoon, all of the heroes on that, they weren't bad people. In fact, I even argued that on that show, the Flash was in some ways the conscience of the group. But I mean, they all were, in their own way. They all sought to do justice. They weren't. I don't know. Just I anyway, sorry. Superman didn't do well at the box office, so this movie's something. Yeah, I feel there's been creative reporting on how well Superman did or didn't do.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob Reiner died. We'll be talking about that next week. Okay.
Yeah, well, we may if you so choose. It'll be very difficult for me not to get political about it, especially the way apparently he has died. I wonder what he would have to say if this was somebody else.
Oh,
but
well, may or may not talk about that. We'll see. Anyway, we got to move on because times are wasting, and who knows if we're going to get to everything. But Zootopia 2. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Disney is on top again.
Oh, let me sum this up for you very quickly. Zootopia did well. It did very well. I've heard nothing really bad about it, and if Disney could do more of this, maybe it could save itself.
Okay, so there you go. So yes, it wasn't pushing stuff that you don't want your kids to hear, I assume. So okay.
Yeah.
Though there's been some inappropriate stuff online with these characters being advertised on this platform, which I complain about because there's some disturbing imagery that people are using it to sell gambling games or something. It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
Well, there's a whole other element to gambling in terms of relationship to Disney. Okay. We won't even go into that, but Disney makes its own problems for himself too.
All right, so we won't take too much time on this. The only other thing I found interesting in this article, apparently they remade Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I was unaware they did that.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be more talk about that. Do you know if it turned out to be any good?
I don't know. That was a disturbing Christmas movie back in the 80s.
Aren't there like a whole bunch of movies in there? There's like a series of them.
Yes, don't get me started. Yeah, there's the sequel in which most of the movie is just repeated scenes from the first movie, which talk about ripping off your audience. No, seriously. You don't need to, if you see Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, you don't need to watch 1 because they pretty much do the entire movie again in that and just add a few scenes onto it. Wow. Apparently the David movie was talked about. I forgot they did an animated David and Goliath movie. Not Davy and Goliath, not the dog show, but the biblical story.
Oh, okay. Glad you told us, Davy.
That show could be disturbing on sometimes.
Well, that's why Robot Chicken did parodies of it.
Because there was a scene on one episode where like some kid like wrote Davy and Goliath's name in the cement and they got into trouble for it. And it's like, we should get revenge. And like Davy was having an image of him picking the kid up by the head and shoving his head into the cement. And I'm like, that's a little dark, dude. And I guess the idea is he's having thoughts of getting vengeance on this guy, but that's right. Of course, you don't want to go there, especially if you're trying to be a Christian. But yeah,
right.
Disney OpenAI deal. Oh, shuns Hollywood.
Oh, this hypocrisy, yeah.
Just when we were going to have something nice to say about Disney. Okay, hold on. Let me get to this. AI, and OpenAI. That's the ChatGPT company, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, at a time in which everyone has an opinion on the future of AI and entertainment, Hollywood just watched a seismic shift shake the landscape. The newly announced Disney OpenAI partnership marks one of the most ambitious moves by the Walt Disney Company in years, a step that blends corporate strategy, streaming ambitions, and next generation technology into a single blockbuster agreement. And it arrives at a moment when Disney desperately needs a win in innovation while navigating one of its most challenging eras. Below is a full breakdown of what Disney and OpenAI just released. Disney bets a $1 billion investment on OpenAI. According to the announcement, Disney is committing $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI, along with warrants for additional equity. This is certainly not a casual experiment. It's a statement about where Disney believes the future of entertainment is headed. This investment positions Disney as a leading player in generative AI development while giving OpenAI a powerful creative partner with the largest character library on Earth. Under the 3-year licensing deal, OpenAI Sora video generator can now produce short, user-prompted videos featuring Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Lilo, Stitch, Ariel, Belle, Beast, Cinderella, characters from Encanto, Frozen, Moana, Zootopia, oh no. Sorry, I was just talking a minute ago about images I saw from Zootopia. Okay,
Yep.
Inside Out, Monsters Inc., Toy Story, Up, The Lion, and more. Iconic Marvel characters including Black Panther, Captain America, Deadpool, Groot, Iron Man, Loki, Thor, Thanos, legendary Star Wars icons, Darth Vader, Yoda, Luke Skywalker. Thanks, Mark Hamill. I bet you didn't read the fine print when you were signing over your likeness. Leia, Han Solo, and the Mandalorian and Stormtroopers. This gives fans the ability to craft fast, shareable animations featuring some of the most valuable IP on the planet, something Disney has never allowed on this scale. One key boundary: no talent likeness or voices are included. Oh, that's interesting. The characters are licensed, but real actors' identities remain off limits. So I guess it would be like an animated version of Luke Skywalker.
So what's been happening is we're talking like AI like movie shorts. People are actually using the likenesses of Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill,
Really?
Darth Vader and stuff to make movie shorts. Check out my Star Wars group on MeWe. I've posted a couple of them. Some of them are really good. Some of them are better than what Disney is doing right now.
Well, it doesn't take much.
Oh, that's true. It is not a very high bar.
Lucasfilm just released that original trilogy again, on the theatrical versions, not the special editions. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off track. Technological innovations have continued. I don't know though. Disney will use OpenAI's APIs to build new products and tools. Beyond the licensing term, Disney is becoming a major OpenAI customer, deploying ChatGPT internally and exploring new products and experiences for Disney Plus subscribers. That means they need to write screenplays using ChatGPT, right?
Yes,
Which they're probably already doing.
probably.
So I guess Disney's thought was we can't beat them, join them.
I suppose so. Yeah.
I wonder what Disney animators think about the Sora investment. Well, part of the problem with the Disney animators lately is that they've been churning out stuff like Wish because they kicked all the old men out. And I just like, yeah, it does sound like a Kingdom Hearts game. I think that was the name of the character in Kingdom Hearts, which was the Disney Square crossover game. But yeah, friendly reminder: if you just use an AI to do everything, you objectively made nothing. Well, what is this even making? I don't know. Oh, we're going to be hearing more about this in the months, aren't we?
Probably. And here's the other thing.
Oh,
This genie is out of the bottle. So yes, I have to agree with you. This might be Disney just trying to make some money off of it, but like I said, people are already using this technology. They don't, I mean, they still haven't solved the shall we say, the high seas issue. That's never been resolved since the 80s. So,
yeah.
They're not going to be able to solve this either. You're going to have people making, fan films, and they're going to become popular. And why do I even want to bother with your licensed stuff?
Bob Iger's Disney wants to use AI to create a feature-length cartoon movies to get rid of actual hand-drawn animation. Who knows? Oh, oh, I want nothing to do with that. Okay. To think about it, though, Mickey Mouse has been on the threshold of becoming public domain. Maybe they're just trying to. Okay, well, it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Feelings don't matter how the Ellison era is transforming Paramount. I did want to touch on this one. I don't think I'm going to have time to read the whole thing, but let me just see. Days before Paramount Skydance merger closed, headlines as to who was staying and who was going were flying fast and furious. One person who appeared at the helm to hide his scene was by Skydance chief David Ellison, was Ramsey Nato, head of Paramount Animation. Let me see here. Hold on. Okay. This is good. All right, let me just read the beginning. Sorry. Okay, it would have been understandable if Ellison had opted to show Nato the door as he did with other top execs, considering she was closely aligned with former Paramount CEO Brian Robbins. She had helped bring successful Nickelodeon series Paw Patrol to the big screen on August 6th, the night before the merger became official. An anonymously sourced news story indicated that Nato was safe, highlighting the success of 2023's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which grossed $182 million worldwide against a $30 million budget. That's a good profit from that, and propelled the brand to north of $1 billion in merchandising sales. But things quickly turned for Nato as the emboldened top executives installed by Ellison to run the studio began asserting their power. In a fall meeting with key leaders, including Paramount Pictures co-chairman Josh Greenstein, Nato was left feeling humiliated after she was told that she had devalued the Turtles franchise. Sources say Nato later confronted Greenstein and others to object to the way they had spoken to her. The essence of their response: get over it. It was an echo of the feelings don't matter, no coddling ethos that powers Silicon Valley, where Ellison was raised and watched his father, Larry Ellison, grow Oracle into one of the most valuable companies in the world. Multiple sources say Ellison is building a more brash culture that's definitely upending the circumspect, politically correct style that has defined Hollywood in the post-Me Too, post-George Floyd eras. In a studio reborn where blunt feedback is the norm, canceled talent is welcome, and no one is walking on eggshells. Sources close to the regime deny that anyone ever spoke down to Nato, but acknowledged that they had confronted the exec for declining to take responsibility for the fact that several animated films under her watch had gone over budget, including Smurfs, a bomb that lost $80 million for the studio. In either case, sources say Nato saw the writing on the wall and told friends she wasn't sure how long she'd last under new management. On October 29, she was among those let go in a massive round of layoffs. Nato could not be reached for comment. She was replaced by Jennifer Doge, a president of entertainment at Spinmeister, the toy company behind Paw Patrol. Even before Ellison took over, there were signs that the studio was changing. Paramount was among the first to kill its DEI policies, and after the Ellison era began, it became the first to publicly push back against the growing anti-Israel sentiment in Hollywood. Ellison has also been willing to empower once canceled male execs, as well as those who are eager to assert their influence after being denied top jobs at other companies. There is an arrogance that has caught the town by surprise, says one source who's in business with Paramount, careful to note that co-movie studio chairman and TV chief Dana Goldberg, a Skydance alum, and Paramount president Jeff Shell, do not share this style. What some see as arrogance, others characterize as a much needed shift, remaking a struggling studio that was deprived of resources for years. The execs inherited a slate where every movie this year lost money in its theatrical run until the October romantic sleeper hit Regretting You. Says a source who knows many of Paramount's new power players. They have either been at the studio system or adjacent to it and are now in a position they never thought they'd have again. It's really theirs to lose. They can either build something that works or doesn't. Sources who know Ellison, age 42, say that he personally has never been presented as a bully, but Father Larry is a self-avowed Eber Alpha personality who has a multi-billion-dollar stake in Paramount purchase and is one of Donald Trump's closest tech world confidants. Trump has probably praised the Skydance Paramount's marriage and David Ellison, pointing to the right-leaning changes at CBS News, and reported also looking favorably upon Ellison's bid to gobble up Warner Brothers over rivals Comcast and Netflix. What do you think so far?
I have no idea. I would like to think that this is potentially positive, but it's I'm afraid maybe I've been burned too many times, but I'd like to hope that this is a good sign that things are turning around. That maybe we're going to start seeing some return to normalcy, shall we say?
I think we're going to see return to them actually wanting to make movies that sell well and do well. So I think that's interesting, and they're not cared about the political nonsense. Let me get into this, though, a little bit further. David likes to hire people who he thinks were devalued, says one person who has known him for years. One early example, Skydance swooped in and hired legendary Pixar chief John Lasseter after he resigned from Disney at the height of the Me Too movement because he liked to hug people.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. That's what happened.
Yeah, I know.
Later, the first major production deal announced by the new Paramount was a first pact with Will Smith, still tainted from slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And one of the few leftover movies from the previous regime that Team Ellis embraced is an Ebenezer Scrooge project starring Johnny Depp that would mark the actor's first major studio feature since Warner Brothers fired him from the Taxi Beast franchise in 2020 amid the messy divorce for Amber Heard. So at least here I see basically an understanding that some of these things were a mistake. If people can do well at the box office and you throw them out for reasons other than that, then what do you have left over? Because you're not cultivating stars. They need to be cultivating new stars, but at least they're trying to bring the old ones back.
Yeah.
Let me keep going here, though. But there's also a talk they're going to start doing comedies again. Let me see. Paramount insiders debunk the notion that this new team is making flyover state films, but readily. You like that? Do you like that term, flyover state films?
Yeah. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know.
For the
right?
rubes in the middle America that we hate. Okay, I mean, but readily admit you used to. That's the thing with Hollywood of old. They used to make movies that appealed to people that lived in all areas of the country that you could identify with the regular working Americans, like those John Hughes comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see though. The mogul has complained that the news business has been taken over by coastal elites out of touch with the American public. Yes, that's true. The one thing that I'm trying to figure out is what other big priorities they're embracing, says a rival executive asked another studio head. Is there anything that isn't a male-driven action movie? So they're complaining that they're being too male orientated, I guess, with their output.
Yeah, well, I think there comes a point where if your goal is to be profitable, you start going, I don't care what you think. It's just that simple.
Listen, Paramount insists that there is, during an August 13th meeting, Greenstein checked such franchises as Star Trek, Transformers, World War Z. He also indicated interest in horror, Paramount's home of A Quiet Place and Smile, and R-rated comedies. It sounds like I was originally what am I going to say? Trepidatious? Is that a word?
Sure.
Yeah, he's from Silicon Valley, but at the same time, he is talking like Hollywood executives used to talk at all. The cigar chomping.
Yeah.
I want to make the biggest movie and get as many people into the theater as I can. So, as long as he hires the right people to work for him, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can read more of this though, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they're on the right track here. I don't think it can be worse. The interesting thing about Skydance is I always noticed Skydance in recent years, they were the ones that made movies that did well and they weren't really political. Like you had the Top Gun Maverick movie was a Skydance production, and Paramount distributed it, and also the Mission Impossible movies, also Skydance production. So it makes sense that Skydance would take over Paramount after they've been partnered with them so long with distribution anyway. So
exactly,
I'm not as offended by them taking over Paramount because I feel like they've been the bread and butter of Paramount, sort of like how Legendary has been the bread and butter of Warner Brothers, though Warner Brothers managed to get them angry. But Cruise is eager to get Top Gun off the ground. They said also there was initial butting heads with Cruise, but Cruise is now on board. But all right, so we'll see what happens. Sounds like they are going to make a crappy version of Airplane. Well, I don't know because of Flyover State.
Exactly.
They're just removing the obvious indicators of DEI. That doesn't mean they're going to stop doing it. I don't know. It sounds like they just don't care anymore. We'll see. Because I'm going to try to explain. Years and years ago, you always had left people in Hollywood, but it wouldn't impact the movies because the movies still had to do well at the box office, and they couldn't because you had to get people in theaters. You had to keep people buying DVDs, and people don't like to be preached at. It's over.
Let me just let me
Even
put
people who
this
agree
one
with
out
them
there.
don't like to be preached at while they're watching the entertainment. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just consider this. You got Liam Neeson moaning and complaining about, guns, but he has no problem doing movies featuring guns where he's the guy. So, nothing has changed in all of this time.
Yeah, that's true. So, because I'm hoping that Paramount will give us stuff we want to watch and not stuff like what Netflix gives us, which is Netflix reveals new reimagining of Cinderella that will flip your perspective on the Wicked Stepsisters.
Yeah, I don't need my perspective flipped on, that's why I was never really into this whole Wicked thing. Just like other musicals, I like the music. I never liked the story. The book is even worse than the movie, guys. Just saying. This is not an example where it's just bad because they didn't follow the source. No, they deviated from the source material to make it less offensive, believe it or not.
Sympathy for the devil. That's what I see here whenever I see stuff like this.
And
These are
frankly,
the
I'm
villains
kind
of
of tired of it.
It was kind of weird in the first James Bond novel. He's having doubts and he's saying, maybe the other side we're fighting against, are we really any better? And then he's saying, what about the devil? Did the devil get a bad rap? Maybe he had his own gospels and we should read. And he was talking about this thing. And of course, at the end of the book, he realizes, no, the other side really is that much worse than us. And and he fell into some stupid sophistry. And he admitted that he was being stupid by thinking that way, but
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I think here's the blurb. I'll just read the blurb. Think Cinderella's evil stepsisters? Think again. When misunderstood Lilith, played by, I guess the actress name is Wand, is blamed for hijacking the royal ball with a stolen magic wand, she accidentally turns her sister Margaret into a frog and leaves the kingdom in the hands of a prince obsessed mean girl. Now Lilith must team up with Cinderella and a surprisingly dreamy troll. What?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. Hold on. A surprisingly dreamy troll? What's going on here? There's not going to be a farm for this troll, is there? Anyway, okay, sorry, I better keep my mouth shut. Okay. To save the kingdom, repair the fractured fairy tale, and prove that the so-called villains deserve a shot at happily ever after. If they reform themselves, yes. Can we move on? I probably spent too much time on this.
I'm tired of this moral relativism. This is, this is the whole problem with the world we live in, to be honest with you now. I'm sick of it.
Samuel Proctor said, didn't the straight-to-video sequels of Cinderella did an actual good job of giving the sisters redemption arcs or something? That's what I hear. I never watched them. I was like, oh, that was during the Eisner era when it's like, no, you don't make a sequel.
They weren't great, but they weren't bad. I'll say that. And yeah, there was a story. I think the Wicked Stepsisters got a hold of a wishing wand or something like that, and they changed history or something, and it didn't really go so well.
That's right.
I don't remember the details, but yeah, you are right.
Like the whole Picard not getting himself stabbed.
Exactly. Yeah. What was it was called Tapestry because
pull a thread
line,
of the tapestry to fix it, and then the whole tapestry falls.
When you tug at the loose ends of your life, you find you unravel it entirely.
Sometimes our mistakes are learning experiences.
And when Picard realizes that, oh God, that last bit at the end where he basically says, the whole thing starts because he realizes that the artificial heart that he has is failing him and he's going to die. And Q gives him the opportunity to go back, and it's a Wonderful Life. You get to go back and change the events that led to this. He did something really stupid that got him stabbed in the heart that caused him to end up with this. But because he was that brash kid, it made him a better captain, a better leader. And by not ever being that, he lived a timid life where he never excelled and never really did anything with his life. And he realized that he didn't have a life of consequence. And he finally, kind of cries out to Q, send me back, put me back in the life that I had. I'd rather die the man that I was than live the man that you've shown me. And it's like, wow.
That was a gift he was giving Picard, because Picard protected him when he was mortal.
He even says that at the end. He says, "Thank you, Q."
Because he wanted to give Picard a gift. It's funny how
Yeah.
Q will reward people who are nice to
Yeah.
him when he's down and out. Like I remember with Data, he said, "I'll give you a gift, Data," and then Data just starts bursting out laughing. He gets experience laughter for a minute.
Well, and he tries to give a similar type gift to Riker, and you wonder if he was naive, or if he was very smart in giving that to Riker.
Exactly.
And you're at the end, you're not sure.
But yeah. Moving on to our final story of the night.
Yeah, this is another example of celebrities being stupid. They should, get their heads out of their asses. She's moaning and complaining the same message we've gotten for the past 10 to 15 years. Women, white, racist, patriarchy, everything is so terrible for this poor little rich girl.
What is she talking about? Here we go. Kristen Stewart claims racist entertainment industry hates women and marginalized voices. I thought in recent years, if anything, they've been trying to elevate those voices, and you're still complaining. I don't understand this.
Because they live for that victim mentality. She's got to be a victim or she has no relevance.
We're in a pivotal nexus because I think we're ready for a full system break. Do you know what I mean? I mean that across the board, and also specifically to the world and that I live in, which is very exclusively entertainment industry. We need to start we need to start sort of stealing our movies. I'm so appreciative of every union. Trust me, we would not survive without them. But some of the terms and some of the rules and some of the structures we set up create unbelievable barriers for artists to express themselves. I think having it be so impossible for people to tell their stories and have it be in such an exclusive and rarefied novel position to be able to find yourself doing so is capitalistic hell, and it hates women, it hates marginalized voices, and it's racist. And I think we need to figure out what way to make it easier to speak to each other in cinematic terms. It's too easy to make movies right now that aren't blockbustery, whatever proven equations. Well, I hate to tell you this, but if the blockbusters aren't doing well, the indies aren't going to do well either. That's my response to that.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in the 90s, I used to love indies as much as blockbusters, but you need the blockbusters for the indies.
Yeah.
You need people going into movie theaters, and when they get well versed in film by watching the popular stuff, then they're going to break down and maybe watch your indie drama as long as it's well made. They also have to be well made. It can't be some mumble.
Yeah, and I love how she wants to blame capitalism. Well, what's your option, girl? What do you think would be a good option that could supplant capitalism and fix the problems that you see? Because let's face it, you probably want to make money too, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's it. I just thought I'd bring it up just because it sounded completely unhinged, and I don't know what she's getting on about. She's saying steal the movies? What does that mean?
I don't know.
How are you going to make money if we steal the movies?
Well, here's the other thing. No one is preventing you from making a movie. You want to go and be a producer, a writer, a director? Go do it.
I hate to say
Otherwise, quit bitching about it.
You're not going to like it, but one of the big champions of independent filmmakers was Harvey Weinstein. Say what you will about all of his other practitioners. He got canceled, probably, legitimately, he did some bad things, but you never replaced him with anybody else. You need those moguls willing to do that and willing to go out and find the talent. And for a while, it worked. And I don't want to say. Anyway. That's all. That's all the news for the night. I figure we would just leave it with that.
Okay.
Nothing left to say. Tune into Unscripted over on Deleted Scenes channel. not unscripted.
Yep. If you are here on
Reserve
my channel,
seats. Reserve seats.
just
yes.
stay where you're at. We'll ship you over to reserve seats. If you're not, I am going to have to give you because you might be over on Age of Boomers channel. Where is it?
I can paste the link to, or if you just want to paste a general one in the chat, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
But
here it is.
you should also be subscribed to Deleted Scenes. He does great work, and he is the official pre-show to Geeky Geezers with his unscripted show, and I guess the official after show too.
Deleted, could you drop the link because I'm looking for it. I know I private messaged it and I'm not seeing it now.
It's okay. I can always do it too if you want to.
I got it. Hold on.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Netter. Just figured we'd go quickly about what we have going on this week. Tomorrow night, what you up to?
Members Night at the Movies. We will be watching. It looks like we're going to be watching Meet Me in St. Louis. Why, you ask? Well, because if you ever heard the song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," it started there with Judy Garland. So that will be tomorrow night for the members. If you're not a member, please consider becoming a member. You could do so for as little as $2 a month. I am trying to reach 100 members by the end of the year, and I know this is a hard time of year because I do see the membership just kind of slipping away from that. Okay. Oh, wait.
Oh,
I just heard a ching come in, so I gotta see. Oh, thanks, Joe's Atmosphere. Yeah, rest in peace.
we read about that.
Yeah,
Director of Spinal Tap.
it's a damn rotten thing when you live in such a high crime rated place. But well, what am I saying?
Apparently, from what I read, it was him and his wife.
Yes, they were stabbed to death in their house.
Holy cow! What?
I'm sure they went off while they were cleaning them, but.
No. Wait a minute. Yikes.
I'm just saying you chose to live in the state you chose to live in. You chose to support the institutions that you did. And
that's
shockingly
high profile murder.
Yes, it is. Let's see what happens with that.
I'm just shocked. Okay. I'm just
But thank you so much, Joe, for that. I really appreciate that. And like I was saying, I'm a little more than 25 members away from that goal. If I swear, if every single one of my members were to gift a membership to somebody else, we would make it. We would hit that goal. So, guys, I do appreciate all the support that you've given me this year, but I really, really am trying to hit that goal by the end of the year.
14 of you gifted 2 memberships, he would meet his goal.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but anyway,
that's all he wants for Christmas.
That is what I want for Christmas.
Gotcha.
But I am getting off topic. Tuesday, of course, being the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the case of the Speckled Band. Let's see. Thursday, of course, a very special episode of Netters Network's Thursday Things. We will be sitting down with Tom Connors of Midnight's Edge and, sadly, Midnight's Edge After Dark. We're going to find out what's going on with all the YouTube chicanery over there.
Be a great stream, though.
Yep. Saturday, whose movie is it Saturday?
Big Al's.
Big Al will be, oh yes, Saturday night at the movies. Muppet Christmas Carol, a movie that I've seen large segments of, but never seen the whole movie. So, looking forward to that. And of course, every day, every weekday, at noon Central, Liquid Lunch with yours truly. Different topic every day. Look forward to hanging out with you for lunch.
Right. And be sure to tune in for Last Call as well.
Oh, that's right. This Friday for Last Call, what are we going to be talking about, Age of Boomer?
Christmas urban legends. So it should be an interesting stream.
Yep.
There may be some grody stories there. We'll see, but we'll try to keep it festive. All right.
In a way, it's the modern equivalent of the scary ghost stories of Christmases long, long ago.
There we go.
So hope to see you for any and all of those streams that I just mentioned. That's all I got.
All right. Y'all have a good week, and hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yep. Take care.
Good night.